YouTube, hello. What's going on? You ready to shake it off with me? Yeah. I was just here in the home studio recording a couple different videos, and the temptation was just there to jump on and do a live stream. Why not? So join me, if you will, in the chat section. I'm going to let this marinate for a few minutes. I'm going to try and entertain here for a few minutes to let this thing ramp up. I realize that when I start a live stream, not everyone is ready for it. They don't expect it. They don't know it's coming. I did not do a good job even kind of announcing this. Maybe I should do that right now. Will you give me just a second to go on Twitter and let everybody know where I'm at? Share. Twitter. There you go. Take off the YouTube tag because, yeah, they don't need promotion. All right. Tweet that bad boy. Tweet was sent. Love it. Ooh. Oh, I thought... Oh! Thought the music was dropping. It was. I thought it was over, though. Whoops. There we go. All right, I'm going to get the questions and comments going here in just a second. I was doing that on the computer screen, so sorry I got distracted, but... yeah, you want to just jump right in the chat right now? Jessica. I love how Jessica's always one of the first. You must have the bell on, Jessica, and I appreciate that. Justin, hello. Be kind. Heyo. Let things percolate. Coffee percolates, and that turns out pretty well. You gotta let your live stream percolate. Rippin' Lips Fishing. Let's go A's. If Ronald, I agree with you, Ronald. I see your name on there. You got the Sharks and A's. Ooh, big fan shout out from San Leandro, Dark Knight Driver 1. Hit up the marina, San Leandro Marina, great spot. San Leandro completely is a gem of the East Bay. And that's the biggest, one of the biggest parts. Austin, I'm glad you throw those prayers up for Dwayne Kuiper. That was pretty hard news to accept the other day. And put your A's Giants stuff aside for just a second. I mean, clearly, I say that. I don't think it needs that disclaimer, but I hope everybody, even on the A's side, is one of Dwayne's biggest fans, and knowing what he's going through. Clearly, you all realize what Glenn is to A's fans, and those brothers are obviously going through a rough time right now, and Dwayne might be missing some games this year, so he'll undergo chemotherapy. So we're definitely thinking about Kuip. I know a lot of A's players are, including Chris Bassett, who made that point to mention him at the end of his press conference last night. Like I said, this is way above A's Giants. This is way above sports. These are about people you care for, and I wish him the best. Are we listening to non-copyrighted instrumental T-Swizzle? Let me go back to that. This is like the 8-bit version. All right? So it's like if Nintendo had Shake It Off in 1989, that's what it would be. Maybe what? What's up from Anthony? I appreciate that. You're right, Flash Allen. The Sharks definitely need to win the Stanley Cup at one point. There's a video here on my channel I did, I don't know, several years ago, and it basically was to pose the hypothetical, what happens when the Sharks win a Stanley Cup? How does it change the fan base? How does it change the franchise? How does it change the way even hockey is viewed here in Northern California? And I know it's a weird time to even bring that up right now with, the team struggling to get in the playoffs for 2 straight years. Like, they've never not got in 3 years in a row. So there's some pressure next year inherently to just even get back in the playoffs. So I realize this, whether you like it or not, I mean, this is kind of a low point. And the question still remains, though, like, if and when this happens, how's it going to change things? How will the Sharks be viewed differently? This is still a non-traditional hockey market of Northern California. I hate saying that, by the way. Under normal times, have you seen how many kids are playing hockey at Sharks Ice in San Jose and in Fremont and at Oakland Ice? I mean, it is completely growing. It's way different than when I grew up here as a kid. But the fact remains that, in December, I can't go in my backyard and skate around a rink that I made with the garden hose. I can't do it. So until that ever happens, and I don't think it will, this is not a market where hockey is ingrained in people for decades. It might be someday, but maybe not to the volume of, a place like Edmonton or Winnipeg or Minnesota or Chicago. I could go on and on. But they do need to win at some point. 30 years, it's not as long as some other teams have gone, but 30 years you'd like to think, that they'll get more than the one crack they got in 2016. And ultimately, when it happens, I think it'll be weird because you'll forget how many years it took to get there. All that will matter is they did it, and you can die in peace. But until that point, I'm with you, Flashhound. It's got to happen at some point. All right, let me move on. Yes, going back to Kuip, it's more than baseball. Missed the broadcast today. We're talking about Dwayne Kuiper, not Glenn Kuiper, and I know there is some confusion. I honestly don't know the personal side of what his plans and schedule are. I know the man loves his Giants and loves his baseball, and I know he's going to miss more games than he wants this year, but I also know that he's going to do his darndest to be around. And Flashhound, really appreciate that. Austin, I know you're right there. Kyle, this is a great one. Luzardo in the bullpen for how long? And it's only going to last longer the way, Cole Irvin has generally been pitching, and the fact that you have, a rotation that Caprillion stepped in and has been doing a really nice job, and they've hit their speed bumps here and there. But I think with Luzardo, they need a lefty. They need a left-handed arm in the bullpen, and what a tool you have in him. High-velocity performer, great stuff. Who can give you 2 to 3 innings in relief. And I don't actually mean like 2 to 3 cleanup innings or you're on the negative side of a game. I'm talking about, let's say it's a close game, tough opponent, and your starter just has to come out after, 3 2/3. Well, Luzardo could get you maybe to the 7th or to the 8th, depending on, pitch count, stuff like that. And could pitch on a more frequent basis. So the question is, I realize it's a double-edged sword. Do you want Luzardo in the rotation? Of course you do. But what if I told you could use him more often and he might be able to help your team ultimately win more games in those middle innings like the A's kind of do? And I know Jesus, he'll say, and he has said, in fact, we chatted about it within the last week. I think it was on Friday we talked. I want to pitch in any role that can help the team. And I understand that. That's the great thing to say. That's the responsible thing to say. It's the right thing to say. And it's true. But I also think deep down, he'd rather know the days that he's making his starts. He'd rather be in the rotation. But the way things played out, I don't think the A's are putting him here in any other reason than saying we really value you and we really know that we need this spot filled and we think you could do a great job. So we'll see where it goes from here. I would imagine if the A's make any kind of trade maneuvers and bolster their bullpen a little bit, that might push Luzardo into a rotational spot. If there is an issue that Luzardo needs to fill in somewhere in the rotation, I think he'd be up for that. I think he's probably, top of the list right now. But let's also not forget that Mike Fiers has been out there and injured, and I don't know when he's going to come back either. And I don't know what element that's going to play into the situation too. So I will literally cry when the Sharks win the Cup, like sob my eyes out. Moonglow, I agree with you. There's a couple things already that I know I'm going to cry about. When the Sharks win the Stanley Cup and when the A's play their last game at the Coliseum, I'm going to shed happy tears, but those ugly tears, your face is like, let me do it on this camera, like, like you can't even control your facial reaction. Like I'm going to cry those tears of just all sorts of emotions. And I should have prefaced this. When they play their last game before moving to Howard Terminal, moving to their ultimate spot in Oakland, because, and I say happy tears, I know that it's bound to be a better situation. It's going to be the future of the team and all that stuff. But when they play their last game, at a place where I grew up watching them, it's going to be, and I've already said I want to host that show. I certainly hope I'm around still because I know I'm going to feel that way, and I know a lot of people will too. You remember the Giants when they left Candlestick and went to Pac Bell Park back in the day? It was all those feelings. And the Coliseum, for as roughed up as it's been over the years, it deserves a nice send off. It really does. And especially, like I said, I'm saying all of this with the assumption that things are going to a better place in Oakland. So I'll leave it with that. Why was I not on the pre and post game show today? You know why? I had 2 days off. Actually, I just had 3 days off. The team was off on Monday, and I generally haven't been working the weekday games, the weekday day games, which was today. And there was only one game. It was a quick 2-game series. So, and I had just worked 9 of 11 days. So I took these 3 off, knowing that Monday was off, knowing that today was a midweek day game, and I missed the night game last night. So just simple off day. Need those. Got to have those in a pace of 162. They definitely mean something to me. They're important. Any hot takes at the deadline for the A's and or Major League Baseball in general? We're not even close to it yet. We're more than a month away. It's July 30th this year instead of the 31st or August 1st. I think for the A's, if I'm already panning out and predicting and projecting, I think bullpen's going to be an emphasis area. In terms of position players, I mean, I'd love to see. I love how Andres is coming around at short. I think there's still multiple options at second, and the way Jed plays sometimes, and Tony Kemp having a heck of a push here in May into June. So I don't know that position player there's a situation. I think it's all pitching for the A's, and that's the hard part. Everybody's out to get starters, and I don't know that they even need that. I would love to see the bullpen get a little bit beefier, whatever that means. And look, Trevor Rosenthal is still out there somewhere. I don't know where he stands in the injury, the recovery. I realize in a best case scenario, he'd be back for maybe September. So that might play into what the A's do. And I'm not even saying that. I mean, clearly they went into this year with a plan for closer. That didn't pan out. They had to go to plan B times 2 with Diekman and Trevino. But maybe somebody who also could close. Could the A's have 3 options? And then maybe a 7th, 8th, and 9th guy to go with Petit, right after the starter. So I don't know. I wish I had hot takes for you here, Justin, better than this. We're just not close enough yet. I can clearly tell you those are, I think, the A's biggest needs. But obviously everything will evolve like it does every year. And I got to say, what the A's got last year, it was not sexy maneuvers. But to get Tommy La Stella, he was awesome. To get Mike Minor, he was very critical down the stretch. I thought those were good moves by the A's to get those players. So if they do something similar like that again this year and don't have to dismantle the current team, I'd be pretty happy with that. Let's see here. Sharks question from a 27-year-old season ticket holder. Is that what you're saying here, Rick? I believe that's what you're saying. Congratulations on that dedication, by the way. Realistically, with LeBanc and Meyer making so much money and production so limited, are they both realistic trade chips? And all I'm going to measure it on is the seasons that they just had. And I first want to say, everybody in the league can look at the last season and realize that it was still very abnormal. This was not a normal, especially the start. And I'm not going to go down this road of making excuses for individuals or entire teams. What I'm saying is, if you're somebody on a different team and you look at Timo Meyer's numbers from last year, I don't know that that's what's going to sell you or not sell you on a Timo Meyer or a Kevin LeBanc. And I'm also telling you that the Sharks probably look at it differently too. Everything has to be viewed from last season through a different lens. Because you're right, the consistency, the production for both those guys were off of the pace that they were kind of building towards and with each other. And it was frustrating. I certainly agree with you. And contractually, that's part of it too. So I know you're asking me, are they realistic trade chips? I'm going to say this complimentary to both of them. I think there's a ton of upside in both of their games. And I think other teams know that, but I also think the Sharks know that. But that's the problem that's the double-edged sword of a trade piece. They have to be good enough that other teams really want to add them too. And they see the potential that I also see in these guys. So probably to answer your question, yeah, they probably are. Whether that means anything, I'm not here to start that rumor or not, but I say that as a compliment, and I hope it comes across that way. Another question. From Rick. I just landed on you again. Ace question. Montas to the pen as a closer. Move Luzardo to the starter. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. That's just the problem, though, is like, I think what you're suggesting in Frankie's maybe the consistency hasn't always been, like, he's shown you what he can do, and he's done it for good stretches. Optimally what you want is, not 3 really good ones, then, 2 rough ones, then another 3 good ones. You just want that streak to continue. But that's, like, Frankie's got nasty stuff. It's interesting. And then again, has Montas ever done that? Do you want him to pitch in that new, 2 games in a row role, or 2 out of every, 4 games? And then the frequency is what I'm getting at. I don't know. It's interesting, though. Flashhound, so many memories at the Coliseum. So many memories, literally. Yeah. I guess these comments were coming in when I said that I'll cry for the last A's game at the Coliseum, the last scheduled one, knowing that they'll get a new ballpark in Oakland. Let me see here. Jess, I'd like to see the A's make a move for Story or Marquez of Colorado. They deserve to win something. Oh, I see. So you're saying bring in Trevor Story or Marquez. I'll tell you what, seeing Marquez pitch the other day, German Marquez he's got electric stuff. Like, literally the velocity is there, the movement's there. And if you can make that ball move in altitude, at the altitude of Coors Field, imagine what he could do at sea level on a regular basis. And you know what? The Rockies might be a team that are looking to unload those 2 players. So I would keep my eye on them. But I don't know contractually where they're at or how that would go. I always hesitate to really want to speculate with you guys, only because think about all the years and all the players and all the deadlines that I've been asked about. And in earlier years, I would make bolder predictions. And then let's just say that 20% of them work out, and that'd be optimistic. I can't ever come out of this looking good because none of us really know how it's going to happen. We can offer gut instinct, and we can all agree on that, or disagree, or find it interesting. But I'd rather be reputable and know that I actually have something meaty that's at least 50-50 to happen or not. There you go. I don't want the A's to trade for Story, because then what was the Elvis trade for? And Elvis has started to come around. He's a guy that before coming to the A's, a .274 career hitter in all those years with the Rangers. And he was hitting like, $194 until recently. Then he crossed the Mendoza line, and he's on a tear. So baseball is such a lovely game in that it's going to average itself out for him and everybody else. And because of that, like, think about what he's due to do in the remaining, 100 games for the A's this season. Oh, Kyle, best burger place in the Bay. I heard this being talked about on Twitter the other day, and it's got to be Val's Burgers in Hayward. Close to Castro Valley, where I grew up. I'm going to anoint Val's in Hayward as the best burger place in the Bay. Sam Boy, I agree with you. I do hope the Swingin' A's will stay. We've got a lot planned on covering this and talking about this, and I'm eagerly anticipating July 20th. when the Oakland City Council is hopefully going to vote on this, on the A's term sheet, on their proposal. Or I'll tell you this, the biggest thing I want to make in this is progress. I think we all realize that the vote being positive on July 20th would be awesome. But more importantly, we need to start hashing out details. I think we all just want to see this move legitimately forward, and get to points that it's making the tangible progress, so that you can start to see the finish line. Honestly, we're not far away from that finish line right now. I know it seems like there's a lot of other things out there, but if you look at the progress that this team has made on the big scale, from the start of this to where we're at now, it's easy to get caught up in is it the micro of the moment? Not the macro. It's easy to get caught up in the small things right now. But if you step back and realize where this is at and kind of the head that it's hopefully coming to, and if it goes the right way, that we're right on the doorstep of this, that'd be fantastic. All right, let me see what else. We got here. Joseph, I appreciate that. We know you got good insights on the Sharks and A's. I want to hear your thoughts on the NBA, watching the playoffs and got a pick. So when I'm at the office, inherently, basketball's always on. It's a crazy thing. I grew up playing and loving basketball. You ought to see my jumper. You ought to see my crossover. You ought to see me at the free throw line, by the way. I'm still cold right now. I could hit 7 out of 10 right now. And if I was playing every day, I'm a 9 out of 10 guy. I just have to drive to the hoop, get fouled, and there you go, 2 free points. So I don't, and I know there's animosity towards Kevin Durant, how the Nets got built. What I don't like about the league entirely is how star players basically got to craft their teams. Now, I'm not against players. I want to see players do well. I want to see players be able to have personality and kind of dictate the sport a little bit. But I feel like it crosses the line a little bit when, Kevin Durant's like, I want to play with him. I want to go out and get him. I don't like him. Don't get him, but get him. I mean, I don't know. Could you imagine a baseball team or a hockey team or a football team being like that? And I guess, does Gronk follow Tom Brady around everywhere? Maybe that's like that too. Maybe I'm off in that. I don't know. And I guess it kind of started with LeBron and everybody, coming down to Miami and doing that. Then the Lakers copied that. And I don't know, did the Warriors copy that too? But, you would have to say that Steph and Draymond and Clay got drafted separately, and then they kind of pursued, they all went to the Hamptons, right, to pursue Kevin Durant. So maybe they're part of it too. Anyway, I don't have a pick. I'm sorry. I don't know enough about the fine details and all this. I think it's interesting that, LeBron's out of it. Some of the biggest basketball names are not going to be. Steph's out of it. Was the first time there's no LeBron and no Steph in in 10 years, I want to say, that neither of them will be playing for the NBA title at the end. So hockey's like that too. A lot of the star players are out of contention. So it's interesting who's going to ultimately win it. I wish I had a pick for you. I really do. But I'm boring. I am watching here and there. I'm watching the highlights, but I can't even tell you I have a team anymore. I mean, in the mix. Clearly I would want the Warriors to do it, but they're not. So, and I also think I digress. The way they had the play-in format this year, that was interesting. It's kind of like the wild card game of baseball times 2 almost. And the Warriors lost both those games. And I did watch those games, heartbreakers. Honestly, both of them. To think that they could have had a grasp on both those games and couldn't finish it off. But at the same respect, you're literally down Klay Thompson. And when he comes back, he's going to be a couple years older than the last time we saw him. He's going through multiple, literally a knee and an Achilles. Is that right? Yikes. I hope they can rebuild. I hope they can retool, make another push. I mean, what Steph did this year, that's impressive. You always say, well, look who he's surrounded by. Okay. Now look who he's surrounded by. And it's no disrespect to a Wiggins or a JTA. You like that knowledge right there? It's no disrespect to these other guys, but like when you're not, when you're not shoulder to shoulder with some of the best and you still are your best, I think that says a lot. Let me zip through some more here. I'm probably only going to be on another 5-6 minutes here. What do I think Chappie can do to get out of his slump offensively? That is such a great thing to hope happens, that he can find this, and I know he will. It's just a matter of when. Honestly, Matt Chapman's season, aside from the 9-game hit streak that he was on, has mostly been struggles, and I don't think that's him. And I'm wondering how much of it is still him from last season, playing through pain, adjusting his swing, feeling uncomfortable, and now just trying to find it back again, because he probably is comfortable and healthy again, but had probably altered his swing so much. And I know that sounds crazy to most of you who are like, just fix it, you're a pro. But there's just a lot more to it. And I also think that confidence and lack of it snowballs sometimes. He's plenty confident, don't get me wrong. But when you struggle with something and you've always been good at it, and then you have a hard time finding it again, it gets complicated. But I will say this. Have you seen any of it leak into the defensive side of his game? Answer is no. But I'm telling you, a guy like Elvis Andrus has turned it around. Wait until Matt Chapman turns it around. You have not seen the A's firing at all cylinders yet. Wait till they do. Then let's see where we are. Okay. Oh my gosh, look at all these comments. Oh, you know what? Thank you, Forever, for jumping in the super chat here. What will it take for the A's to get off the parallel path of Vegas and Oakland and commit to Oakland fully? Well, they want the city to vote yes on this. They want the city to take on their term sheet and say, we're in. Or we're mostly in. Can we work on these things and then we're in? That's what they want. And, I will address more of this when we can. There haven't been any new developments lately. But when there are, we'll talk about them, and certainly hope to get Dave Cavil more on our pregame shows as this really gets down to the nitty-gritty, as the vote hopefully happens on July 20th. So that's what they want. I mean, look, once the city, if they can vote yes on this, all that other stuff should disappear. You won't have to hear about it. The MI6 Sports Network. I think the A's need a bona fide ace. Bassett and Minaya are more like 2s and 3s. Well, go out and get Max Scherzer? Let me just say this. Have you been watching Chris Bassett pitch? And Sean Minaya has had a pretty remarkable season too. Now, there have been a couple games that, don't fall in line with his trends. For Bassett, he's literally, like I said, a couple bad ones to start, like everybody had, flawless since then. I'm going to disagree with you right there. Do I always think there's room to have a deeper rotation? Of course. But if you're telling me that Chris Bassett hasn't pitched like an ace, I can't agree with that. There you go. No disrespect. Do players like Bauer, Tatis, Anderson, etc. make baseball better or worse? Alejandro, they make it better. It's a weird thing. Now, let me just say it like this. When Trevor Bauer this past winter, get my hockey and baseball mixed up. What season is it right now? This past winter, when he kind of went on the free agency tour and, not rubbed it in people's faces, but teased a lot. Hey, I'm here. I'm checking out that. What should I check out in Detroit? People are like, you're going to the Tigers? What? I'm just making it up. But, some people could maybe be turned off by that stuff. But there's all, for every player that's, dead quiet about it, does that do anything for the game? Or is Trevor Bauer is he expanding his brand? Of course. But is he also helping people talk about baseball in the dead of winter and they don't normally do that? Yeah. So is that a bad thing? Now, the sword stuff and the pitching with one eye only. Michael Jordan shot free throws with his eyes closed. Now, I don't know if I'm saying Trevor Bauer and Michael Jordan are in the same category as each other, but, these guys make the game a lot more interesting. And Tatis with the bat flips, Anderson with just so many like charismatic emotions on the baseball field, and he's also quite active on social media. He's out there. These guys, what you're asking me, Alejandro, is do you like players that put themselves out there? Of course. I think there is a fine line of what ruffles people's feathers. Like either if you do it too much or you do it too hard and cross the line, then I think people are going to be turned off by it. No, but that's the question. Where is that line? How thick is that line? It's clearly all over the place. Some people, the line is like, you can't do much, else I don't like you. And that's not me. Some people say, do whatever you want. I don't care. That's also not me. There's some kind of line in there of being a pro, but also being an entertainer, being a real person, relating to your audience, building your brand. I mean, I don't know what you're expecting me to say, Alejandro, but they inherently all make baseball better and more entertaining, more watchable, more personable. You'd have a hard time convincing me that those guys make baseball worse. All right. I've done a Sharks hockey fantasy camps, Eric. Yes, I have. But have I played in a rec league? You know what? I wish I could play in a softball league. My wife plays in a tennis league. I wish I could play in that. It's just that evenings, I'm generally working on a ridiculous schedule that I never have the same days off. And I'm not around. Everything happens at night, unfortunately. So let me see here. The A's have been in first place. Bradley Pooper. You just wanted me to say that, didn't you? The A's have been in first place in the AL West most of the season. It's almost halfway through. I agree. About 20 games or so. I feel better than this year than 2014. Ooh, how do you feel about it? Well, first off, Bradley, 2014 at the All-Star break, you may know this. The A's had the best record in all of baseball. At the deadline, they traded Cespedes. The A's needed to win game 162 of 2014. In Arlington, they had to put Sonny Gray on the mound to beat the Rangers to simply get the second wild card spot in the league. They went from best record in baseball to second wild card spot in the American League. And then we know what happened in that wild card game against the Royals. They played, 14 innings. They had 3 leads that they lost, ultimately lost the game. And I want to say that was at like Josh Donaldson's last game with the A's also. We didn't know that at the time, but man. Okay, so how do I feel about the A's this year? It's weird. They've been in first place, and they did have a 13-game win streak. I don't know that we've seen the best of them. I don't know that we've seen them firing nearly on all cylinders yet. How could you say that we have? You don't have your third baseman producing like he normally does. We know he's capable of. The shortstop has kind of been in that same category. I think even Matt Olson got off to a little bit of a slow start, but that has certainly been rectified. So I'm just here to say that, and they've faced some adversity. They've literally had to come up with a new shortstop this year, new leadoff hitter, new closer. I don't think we've nearly seen the best of the A's. And I know a lot of people are through the first 60 games, by the way, they had one less loss than they had all of last year. And most people thought last year was a pretty darn good regular season. They're still on pace for about 97 wins. So I feel pretty confident. I would love for them, I'll tell you this, I would love for them to win the division this year, go straight to the ALDS, not have to touch that wild card game, that wild card format. Last year they had to play a wild card round, basically. How unlucky was that? They won the division, still had to play a wild card best of 3 round against the White Sox. So I would love to see them win this division a full year and reap the benefits of it. And look, what does it mean that you've mostly been in first place for most of April, May, and some of June? It doesn't mean anything. It just means you're capable of doing it and continuing to do it. You don't want, and that's the other thing. I'll say this. If you told me, would you rather have the A's peaking right now and have a, 7-game lead in the division? I'd say no. I'd rather them, if they're going to peak, please do so, September 20th through the 25th or whatever. And I guess you understand what I'm saying. Like, take that momentum into the playoffs. Don't really peak right there. Peak in the playoffs. But be a better second half team than you even are a first half team. All right. Let me see what else we got here. I mean, that's it. Do I think we'll finish ahead of Houston? Houston is not going to go away. That's the other thing. You know, credit to the Astros. They are annoyingly present. They just do not. I mean, just when you think they've got adversity and this and that, it's honestly crazy how persistent those guys are. And they're good. They're a really good team. So I don't think I'm shocking anybody there. Their team has obviously changed over the years and for the worse. Verlander, Springer, you know, the guys they don't have anymore. So I would just hope that the A's can, you know, play as well as they're capable of in the second half. If you do what you did in the first half here so far, and if you could take another step in the second half, you'd be just fine. Mac Drizzle. I answered this one already, so to be fair to everybody watching, what I said earlier was the bullpen is probably what needs a little bit of attention. Levi, I don't have any update on the Ramon injury. Sorry about that. Obviously it's going to be longer than the 10 days they plotted out. So, Bradley, yes, I agree with you. The A's have been finding ways to win. They are tough, and I think they will. Honestly, I'm excited to see what August and September look like for this team. Annoyingly present. Well, present. You know what? I want to actually change it, Bradley. I want to say annoyingly persistent. That's probably, it's the best compliment I can give those guys, and it's truthful. Have I become a fan of any of the MLB pace of play or COVID-related changes now that we've experimented with them for a while? I got to tell you, the runner on second for extra innings, I really like it. And the 7-inning doubleheaders, when we've seen them again this year, I still really like it. Now, I get it. This goes against baseball tradition. Like, how do you even score? Oh, well, this runner started on second in the 10th. You know what I do? I draw a line from first to second on my scorecard, then I circle where second base is to kind of say this is a ghost runner, basically. That's how they got there. I know it's not traditional. I know it's weird to say that a reliever, blew the game. Like, they give up one hit to the first batter and the other team scored their runner on second. It stinks. It's not fair to pitchers. But games have to end. I mean, let me ask you this. A good movie will have you on the edge of your seat the entire time? No, that's not true. A good movie will have you on the edge of your seat sporadically throughout a 90-minute film, whatever, and then, maybe 5-10 minutes at a time, and then at the end, and that's it. A baseball game cannot have you on the edge of your seat from innings 10, 11, 12, 13 through 14 and 15 and into the 16th inning. You will just not be able to be on the edge of your seat. You will fatigue. Somebody get a hit. Somebody take the lead. Somebody score, obviously your team, win this game. Now, granted, playoff games cannot be decided that way. Playoff games have to never start with a runner on second base. That'd be ridiculous. But in the regular season, with the quantity of games and the innings you have to play and the travel that teams are relegated to, you owe it to everybody to get the game over with at some point and come up with a conclusion. I hate to say it, but the old way just doesn't work as well as it once did. I don't know that it works in 2021. You got to move these games into completion. And if it, what are you going to play, home run derby? That's not possible. But starting with a runner on second it's different. It's way different. Doesn't follow tradition, but it's the most fair stretch you can make. And the 7-inning doubleheader, same thing. 18 innings at the least of baseball in a given day. That's a lot. That is a tremendous amount. And heck, they They've been doing it for years. I get it. Do you think it still works here? Which one of you are going to watch all 18 innings of baseball in a day? I don't know that our lifestyles are centered around that here in 2021. So I know not everybody's going to like me saying this, but I really do like both of those two main changes they've made. They started it during the pandemic. They've kept it here for 2021. I like them. All right. Wow. All right. I said I was going to get off at 11. And so I think I'm going to do that. I really want to thank all of you for being here. Again, I just honestly kind of signed on because I just finished up some other videos. I probably false advertised here because, I said it was going to be you, me, and the soundboard. Who's calling me here? Do you hear a car? Just dream with me here for a second. I should have given you more soundboard, huh? Nobody really wants that. Now that one might get me dinged for the copyright, so hopefully I'll talk over it and nobody will notice. That's gonna do it. Thanks everybody for watching the live stream. Oh yeah, I've got everything on here, except for good jokes. All right, that's gonna do it. Give me a beat to play us out of here. Woo! Did you hear? Wait. Did you hear that? How'd that start there? I'm gonna play it out with a little light show here. Just give me one quick second here. This could be worth your time, or it might not be. So I got this app here, and is there like a disco one? No, that's not the one I'm looking for. No. I thought there was a better one than this. Oh. There we go. Now we're talking. This stuff back here is all custom, and I never really mess with it like this on a live stream, but why not? All right, here we go. Here we go. Now, who wouldn't want to watch this? Would this be distracting for a whole live stream? Back to the comments. Bradley's like, yeah, I'm out of here. Oh, wait. Have a good night. I've seen enough of this. Thank you guys for all being here. Yeah. Good night. I'll see you on TV tomorrow and many, many days after that.